Hey, welcome everybody to Financial Algebra. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at the poll, whether you would rent or whether you would buy. If you were living somewhere for 5 years, and there's a typo in there, so don't read. There's an E in there that it was a silent E. Nobody ever pronounces it, so it didn't need to be typed up there. So take over one of the pods. I think I have enough. If not, then I'll get out of one of them. I think I do 1, 2, 3.
Why does everyone want to buy a house? You know how much
Everybody have one? I'm going to go out of student 1 in case somebody needs student 1. Oh, we're going to need student 1. Nice. Nice. Well, don't do it, because when you do that, guess what happens? It wipes out whoever put their voice there already. So stop changing my stuff. It is. So everybody has to revote because Katie Beth wanted you to.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I didn't know what that meant.
Does everybody have a notepad? Because I have 9 things in here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. And I have 7 students, and so if I need it, maybe I'll put another notepad just in case another student shows up. Just in case, once we get past everything else. Nice, so did everybody vote? Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to actually calculate the monthly payment for a mortgage, and then we're going to use that information to find the interest of the life of the loan as well. And I just want to do a little discussion on whether you'd want to rent or own and why, what some of the pros and cons are, and then I'll give you some of my biases, which are by all means biases, but just some of my experience with the financial world and all that good stuff. Okay, so if we get another student, so my people are here, yell at me because I do have a secret notepad hiding, so we can put another student there. So far I only have 5 takers on the notepads, and I know that there's 7 students. So please go into one of the student 1 or student 4 and take over the notepad, whoever didn't. Nice, thank you. Oh, you guys are both trying to type in the same time. So Alexis, what's going on is Katie Beth is trying to type at the same time as you are, so she just took over the other pods. And so now you're going to be student 4 and she'll be student 1, okay? And you can also use code names when you take over the notepads. That's more than fine for me. So we had 2 people choose renting and 5 choose buying. Oh, we didn't. We have 3 people who would rent and 4 who would buy. So what I want you to do is I want you to write, or you can activate your mics if you want to. I want you to write why you picked the one you picked. Okay, so defend your decision. Miriam, are you going to put your answer? Come on, take it or go. Well, you could talk if you want, or you can just type. So you're in pod, right? So I'm guessing, Katie, you're assuming that all utilities are in with the cost of rent? So is that what you're assuming that, right? Okay.
I mean, it should be.
Sometimes they're not.
Sometimes you have to
because
pay
they vary.
I mean, we have to pay for electricity,
Yeah.
which is extra, but we get water, heating, waste management, that's all free.
Okay, that's nice. Okay, does anybody have any questions on anybody else's, why they picked theirs? Oh, we still got a thought finishing. So I actually like that you guys had different opinions as to why you would buy or why you would rent, and I like that even though rent seems more expensive, some of you still selected that one. I wasn't very clear on, being like crazy specific of what rent included or what it didn't include and all that good stuff. So I'm just going to go through and kind of highlight things. Katie, she's picked rent because she's making the assumption that in your rent, a lot of the parts are included. And sometimes they are on the leases, sometimes they're not.
Sometimes they allow you to be a little late on rent.
Okay,
Owning a
so
house, you actually have to pay everything on time.
you have to pay on time or your credit gets dinged.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe it's rental, and that would be an idea. If you're doing rental, you get booted out. Whereas if you have a mortgage, you get kicked out, and also your credit goes like, so you can't buy again. Monte chose to buy because he's paying less and he owns his property and free to arrange your living habits to your own comfort. Yeah, so when you have a house, you don't have to worry about the walls. You don't have to worry about how you create what's inside. Whereas when you're renting, when you leave, you want to make sure you leave it as you found it.
What I like about our place is they said we could paint the walls, we just have to paint them back white when we're done.
Yeah, so if you paint them super dark color, you have to use lots of extra paint to get the color to go away. So if you use a softer color, then repainting isn't as hard. And then Tay picked rent because there are things including rent, okay? And Alexis picked rent because when you rent, you pay rent, not bills or anything with the house or apartment. So those are all along the same reasonings. Miriam chose rent because she would be the only living there for 5 years and doesn't want to pay for home repairs. Okay, so that's a valid one too. Tanya, she would buy because she feels like she's giving her money away if she rents. If I ever had to move, I could always rent to someone. And you can make it into a rental property. That's true. And then Myra would buy because it would be less and you'd per month. And so those are all, I like that you guys were able to kind of come up with some of the key things. Some of the benefits of renting, even though you're paying more, is someone else has to fix everything. If you were to buy, you need to be disciplined and save that extra money. So when something does bottom out, you're replacing it and you have the money for it. Another reason, which we'll talk about later in our class, is your credit scores. If you're renting, nothing happens with your credit scores. Like that stuff isn't ever reported. Whereas if you purchased and you have a mortgage and you're making on-time payments, that matters too. Then your credit scores will improve. And then you're able to put yourself in a better financial position, which means lower interest rates on future loans and all that good stuff. Cool. Yeah, and if we were to include utilities and rent, then lots of people would do that. Utilities tend to, my utilities, I don't pay for water. I pay a HOA fee, which is astronomically high, I think. It's an extra $200 on my thing, which is annoying. And then my electricity is around $110 each month.
Yeah, your electricity is around 70.
Well, I run a house fan 24/7.
Yes, it'll be.
Is your place?
And we also use AC 24/7.
Yeah, I mean, we use AC and heat, but yeah. And so that's part of ours. We have a large furnace that runs an air purifier 24/7. So my utilities went up $40 a month on average, but that's okay. All right, guys, so we're going to go work some math. And we're going to figure out how to calculate things. And I need to get whoever, we can take student 3 and put them over here. So that's a really good place for student 3. All right, so you guys got rearranged a little bit. We're going to look at this really cool formula. Awesome. Huh? So let me tell you what all the parts are. So I can draw on it. Draw. So red. Anybody know what red is? Yeah, R. What's red? P equals your interest rate. And what's really important when we talk about interest? So if I said something was 5%, what do you think we put in the formula? Oh, that'd be big. Yeah. 0.05. So it needs to be a decimal. I lost my I. There it is. My E got messed up. So your interest rate has to be in terms of decimals, because otherwise your formulas get really crazy. T is time in years. And this is the formula that I'm showing you. And I'm not 100% sure if it's the true one because there's a formula that involves E. Anybody know what the number E is? Anybody know what E is? E.
Electricity?
E. E. It's a number. Kind of like pi. E and pi.
Oh, it's like
Pi looks like a house.
1,000.
Does.
Yeah, I know it is. That's
E is actually, so if you've seen it before, good. 2.71 and some other decimals. E is a number that is found in nature, and it's kind of cool how they find that ratio. It's actually, I think it's pretty cool. But it's a number that's found in nature, and it's one that they usually use in all interest rates, especially when it involves banks, because it does compound things on a continuous rate. This particular formula is saying that it's compounding it once a month, which means it takes a snapshot of what you owe, cracks the numbers, and then does it, whereas compounded continuously means, oh, we're going to look at it every second, and it actually tends to lend for the bank to get more money. So it's greedy on the lending side, but it's fine. That's the one we're going to use because that's the one that your assignments are based off of. And so then the other one was P, and P is how much for the original loan. It's the amount. This is the total amount of the loan. So memorize that formula because you need it on the next page. Did I give you enough time to memorize it? Too late. Oh, I put it on the next page. So I was pretty nice. So what I want you to do is, I don't even know how you'd show this in your little pods. I don't think you can. Anybody want to like put in all the parts?
Wait, what?
Okay, so let's read our story. Ready, set, read the story. See, I don't even know how to like put that insane formula in a typing skill. So, do you guys want me to show you how to put it in? And then I will also have somebody figure out how to put it in a cool calculator.
Elliot stole my. Okay, hold on. I got this. Ready?
You're gonna do it?
You go like this.
All right, Katie Beth is gonna show us. Katie Beth is gonna be a programmer in her life because she seems to be more than willing to do math on a keyboard, which is very impressive. I'm a person that I like to do math on paper. Put in the parts while you're at it though. Like, what do we know? So let's decide. What do we know about P? What does P equal? Is
that-
annual percentage rate.
Is that a T? That little tiny blue thing? Is that a T?
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't show up very well. I tried.
You should have made it like
Bright.
black.
See, it shows up on the page before better because it's on a white background. But when I put it on a dark gray black background, I needed to make it like a hot blue or a pop blue, or it'd have to just be bright. See, the green stands out well, and the red does because they're bright, and the blue just doesn't stand out very well.
Yellow stands out pretty good.
Yeah, it does, and white as well. Like I had to go in on a Word document, and I made the type white. And I'm like, oh, now I can't see it because the background was still white. So what's your P? What is P for this problem? 120,000. And we use all of the digits. And what's the rate? How would we write it as a decimal though?
0.07.
0.07. And then what is your time?
25 years.
25 years. Okay, so what I'm going to do, Katie Beth is over there enjoying the programming going over there.
Oh, I did it.
Nice. And I don't want to cover that, so I'm going to stash this over here, come over here, and I'm going to share with you how to put this on a really cool calculator. Well, I like the calculator. My screen. I want to share Firefox. Can you guys see my Firefox?
I was on that calculator yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So now I need to come back to Adobe Connect and make your screen big. Oh, because, yeah, I have a really teeny tiny screen, huh? It's cute. Let's make that bigger. All right. So let's come in here. Let's make this bigger.
Oh, okay.
Let's make this bigger so you can see. Oh, make it a little bit smaller. Oh, that wasn't it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and back up. So in Desmos, what I'm going to do, you can use, I'm typing everything. So I'm going to have 120,000. And then what am I times it up by?
Oh, okay. Wait, what?
I have to, so P was 120,000,
Times R divided by 12.
which is R. And then someone's going to have to tell me that I keep getting everything right, because hopefully I do, because this formula is really important. 0.07 divided by 12 again. Now, why do I keep dividing by 12? What? Because we're paying monthly payments. If I was paying like every 3 months, then we put in 4 because 3 months out of 12 is 4. If I was paying every day, we'd put 365 up there. So yeah, you're right. Good job. And then how many years was the mortgage? 25? Okay. So I have all that good stuff. Oh, I'm not here. Divide. Oh, it did it. Nice. And then I want to divide by 1 plus 0, oops, 0.07 divided by 12. Go on the outside of that parenthesis. Raise it to the 12 times 25 power. Then we're going to subtract 1. Nice. Okay, so remember that number and memorize it. If I ever ask it again, you'll know it. So that's your monthly payment, $484.14. Okay, so that's not that bad, right? 25 years, we're going to pay that $484.14. Can you see it? You can see it, right? Okay, nice. So everybody, I mean, that formula is just, it's really ugly, but it's very doable. Also, the other thing that I do sometimes when I have formulas is I just do all the parenthesis parts, then I stick them in and use a calculator some more. Those are some of those other tricks that I do. So let's come here, and then let's 484.14. Oh, they changed it on me. They picked 12 instead of 14. So I'm still going to say 484.14. So tell me how to find this number. Oh my goodness. And I need to make this window small again. You guys, sorry. Put you back in your place. Okay, tell me how I'm going to find that one. Ready, set, tell me.
Wait, they find this one? Wait, what is it? Wait, no, no.
Wait, what? I thought the same one.
No.
What do you guys think? What?
Isn't that supposed to be years? Not year.
Yeah, years. Thank you. Seriously, you need to be an editor.
Yeah, well, I can't even spell big words.
Well, you get the small ones, right? Okay, so we already found the monthly. Oh, 80. That's an 8. It's an 8. if we know our monthly payment, and we know we're paying that monthly payment for 25 years, and we know how much our original loan was, how are we going to find out how much interest we just gave the bank?
Wait. Say that again?
So we're going to pay $848.14 for 12 months every year for 25 years, right? So we're going to pay him some big sum at the we're going to
what's 25 times
25 times 12, I don't know.
25.
12 quarters is 300 400.
400.
400
This
payments.
is without calculators.
No, oh, you can use calculators. Yeah, don't use calculators. Do it all in your head. Actually, this one you could do in your head.
Okay, 400.
It's 400, right? Or 300? It's 300. 300.
Okay, let's count times 25. Okay.
It's got to be 300 because there's quarters.
300.
Thank you.
She's using calculator too.
Well, I like you got me
she's
double
like-
guessing.
She's like
So
400.
I'm like, anytime I multiply by 25, I think quarters. I'm like 300, and then you like stared at me, and I got scared. Okay, so 300, and then what do we do with the 300?
300 divided?
No sharing.
Did you divide it by 0.07?
You could,
Multiply?
but if we did 300, what does 300 mean? Like, why did you even come up with that number?
Because you're doing it for 25 years. There's 12 months in a year, so you have to find how many months are all in 25 years. Because you only got the monthly rate, right?
So what? Tell me again what 300 means.
The number of months in 25 years.
Okay, and so why did you find it?
I haven't even read the problem yet.
Oh,
Read the problem.
she's just finding numbers. She doesn't know what to do with them. I love that. That's what I do too when I see problems in numbers. I'm just do do do.
20,000 at annual percentage rate.
I like Miriam's answer.
10%. 25 years. It's gonna bug me. You will pay $848.12 per month.
So Miriam, do you have an answer on that one too?
Okay, I got this. This is
what I got. What will your total interest be on the life of a loan? Life.
Holy cow, is that really what it is, Miriam? Just like, I'm not
Okay,
not doubting you, just like, wow. 848.14. Oh, I didn't put a times in there. That was funny. Wow.
that's what I got.
2, 5, 4, 4, 4, 2.
So what does that number mean?
The loan of the life.
So $254,000, and you borrowed $120,000.
Isn't that interest added?
Right?
Add that.
That interest is supposed to go down.
You subtract it.
Oh.
You then subtract 120. So then you have 1, 3, 4, 4, 4, 2. Okay. They give, and I'm overhearing a conversation, and it's one, so I'm just going to share. And then Myra, I'll answer your question real quick too. They were talking about interest and whether it's good for you or bad for you, right? Kind of, because like if you put money in the bank, you get interest, but unless you have $1 bazillion, your interest looks like 1 to 3%. And when they lend you money, then they collect like 5 to 7 to some people. Like we keep getting something in the mail that says 25% interest rate. I'm like,
Kind of like taxes at the end of the year when you put your W-2s in. You know,
Yeah.
how every time you get a paycheck, they take out
stuff.
they take out stuff that they take out taxes. If you claim more than 0, you get a little more, and you still have, when you do taxes, you're gonna have to end up paying.
You often will pay more until you
If
have
you,
kids, and then you don't.
If you
You pay less. But yeah, it's good
if
to
you claim
claim zero
nothing,
if you're
yeah.
doing taxes. It's good to claim
Then you
zero,
get
and then
money back.
they're your savings account for the year. Whereas my mom, she doesn't like anybody holding her money, period. And so she does as many claims as she possibly can because she saves her money. And so she's earning money, interest on her money, and then she goes and she pays it. But we digressed. Anyway, Mayra, you asked where the 300 came from. Do you know where it came from now? Probably not, because I never addressed it. Well, I did, but not that much. So if we look at our story problem, and we see that we have a loan for 25 years, and we're making monthly payments, that is why we took 12 times 25 to see how many payments we're making on our house. And it was a cute house too. Anybody having questions on, like, I want everybody to make sure you know how to find how much interest you paid on a loan. All you have to do is take whatever your payment is, multiply it by how many times you're going to make that payment, and then subtract the original amount. And
Well, I just had to.
so like this is the easiest, not the easiest, it's the easier part of what we just did. The problem before, or finding out what that mortgage rate is being really, 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 really careful in how you put it in a calculator. Because only very few people would try to do that in their heads. And if they're doing it in their heads, they're one of those genius peoples. Okay, cool. So what I want you to do, our kind of our end of the day question is this one, if it goes there. Move it, move it. There it is.
Let's say in the government, people have more kids. Hey, we're making more money. Hospital bills, diapers,
That's why, well,
formula.
yeah.
Because the government owns all companies and stores, and the people who own them are owned by the government. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
So we already know some information from before. So I need somebody, okay, so Miriam, don't delete what you have there, okay? Because we don't have to work this problem. We don't have to rework the entire thing because you've already found a part. So the first part we found, I'm going to underline in red. Remember we changed that to 14, by the way. And so our interest was 1, 3, 4, 4, 4, 2. Okay, so then once you have your answer for that, then you're done with the webinar. Anybody have any questions?
I don't even know what question I need to ask.
So what if we change, so this question here is, what if we change it to 30 years? And we pay $7.98. What's the difference between the two interests?
Well, first you have to times 30 by 12.
And by the way, this question is just hypothetical. Usually if you take out a 25-year loan versus a 30-year, the interest rate will be a little bit better for the 25 versus 30. But the 30 years should usually be lower, which it is. But usually if you have a shorter loan, they give you a better interest rate as well. Good. So Alexis, do you have any questions? Yeah, so Mayra, what I want you to actually do is I want you actually to find out what it is and type what you got. And you too, Alexis, like I want you to work out this problem. And hopefully you have a calculator. If you don't, let me know what you want me to multiply.
30 years times 12 months. So there's 360 months in 30 years.
Yep.
Those 360 months, you have to pay $798.36 every month. That amount total in a whole 30 years would be $287,409.60. But you only borrowed $120,000.
Yeah, we only borrowed 120,000. And like I have friends who, you know, they've been renting for the last 30 years and have been paying, you know, above. So they've paid, let's just say if they paid $1,000 for the last 30 years, they've paid $3,600 or $360,000 on something that you would have paid $287,000. So you're actually making, as long as you're holding saving money. It's really important when you do a mortgage to save your money. Okay, so let's remind ourselves how to find the interest that, or the total amount on the 30 years. Oh, I put a T in the total. It's not totally way. All right. My computer's coming back to life. So then our total is 287.409, not point, comma, and then 60 cents. And when we're talking money, we should always include an extra zero, even though our calculators won't show it. Put that extra zero because we're talking money. And then we subtract the 2. We'd subtract, whoops, that wasn't what I wanted to do. Back up. So we're going to minus 120. And then we get 167,409.60. And so these are our two amounts, 134, 167. And so what was that difference? And Miriam's got that number. Yeah, then we have to subtract these two from each other.
Which is 32.
And so I'm going to do the difference, since I can't write them side by side, backwards, upside down. And we get 32,967 and 60 cents. Okay, so if you go with a longer loan, you're going to be paying more. And so sometimes that's why people would look at it and say, you know what, I'm only paying $50 more. And over a 5-year period, I'm saving myself $33,000. So you can also do that for yourself when you have a mortgage and you make extra payments. It has the same net effect. So if you could pull the life of your loan down just because you're paying it off faster, then these are the kinds of benefits that you see in the long run, because you're not paying a mortgage for that many years, and you just start paying stuff down more quickly, and I think it's worth it. But that's my opinion. And sometimes when you're like, sometimes it's better to go for the longer loan because that's what you can afford. And then when you make more money, you start putting down another $100 each month. And then all of a sudden you're making an extra payment and a half each year. And then that just starts to take into play real quick. So I have other friends that, you know, they get paid every 2 weeks. So they actually get 26 paychecks. And so they just make a part mortgage payment for each of those paychecks, and that ends up making an extra payment on a monthly payment as well. Okay, awesome, guys.
Have you ever seen Faith Like Potatoes?
No.
What? You've never seen Faith Like Potatoes?